Hi, this is Justin Wolf from FuturePoint Systems. In this video, I'll show you some of the new features in the latest version of Starlight Viz, version 4.1.4. Let's start by going over the new ribbon layout. First introduced in version 4.0, the ribbon has received a complete makeover, now placing all, but only, the most used tools on the Home tab. This simplification has greatly increased the analytical efficiency of Starlight. We've added new context-sensitive tabs for tasks related specifically to views, record sets, and the Knowledge Manager. Another thing we've added to try and make Viz easier to use is a wizard for starting new projects. This wizard will walk you through the steps of getting data loaded into Viz. You'll see the rest of the wizard as we start loading the data for this demo. Speaking of data, we've added support for two important file formats in version 4.1.4, zip archives and Microsoft Outlook email archives. To demonstrate this, I'll drop a PST archive onto Viz. Viz will scan through the archive and extract not just the email messages, but any attachments as well. If an attachment happens to be a zip archive, Viz will examine those files. Essentially, the email archive acts like a directory, and all the files inside will be loaded into the current project. The next page of the new project wizard asks if you want a brief explanation on how to use the complex properties in Viz to support the network and hierarchy views, as well as other advanced capabilities. Now that we have all the emails loaded, we can easily see the communication flows within the archive by simply dropping the imported data onto the Knowledge Manager. The Knowledge Manager, Starlight's link charting tool, is now constructing a graph of the emails from the archive. Green arrows indicate that the recipient was on the to line, orange indicates a CC, and black arrows indicate the recipient has been on both the to and CC lines in emails from the sender. Now let's move on to a slightly more complex scenario to explore some of the other new features. This project was created by loading a larger email archive. This process takes several minutes, so what you see here is a project immediately after I imported the archive. As you can see, the archive also contains numerous spreadsheets and textual documents as attachments. The first thing I want to demonstrate is the change in how we index information within Viz. There is now a single project-wide index instead of the previous per-record set indices. This means that when you create a new record set, the contents are immediately searchable, no matter how many records it contains. To show how this works in practice, I'll split this main record set by record type, which will create about 80 individual record sets. Now let's take a quick look at some of the emails. I'll start by pulling out just the emails in the inbox. We can get a sense of the communication flows within this archive just as we did before, by dropping these emails on the Knowledge Manager. This time, however, I'll use another new feature in 4.1.4 called the grid. The grid allows me to analyze much larger networks than the graphical Knowledge Manager canvas because it doesn't need to graphically lay out all the semantic objects and relationships. Since this email archive was from Barry Teichels, there is a number of similar objects using the same name. I want to group all these together so that the network is more realistic. To do this, I'll use a value set. This value set also includes some people with the same last name that we don't want to group together, so I'll remove them. Now I'll use this value set to select only the nodes I want to group by dropping it back on the Knowledge Manager. Finally, I can use the Group tool to collect these different variations into a single node in the underlying network. To further refine this data before visualizing it in the Canvas tab, I'll calculate betweenness and remove the nodes on the outside of the network as well as all the objects not connected to any network. Now I'll copy these over to a canvas to see what it all looks like. I see one person I'm interested in exploring in more detail, Kim Ward, so I'll select this object and use the Add Related tool to see who she is connected to. I've also used another new feature in 414 here, the ability to color objects in the Knowledge Manager. I've set all the people one hop away from Kim to purple. This lets me easily see who she is connected to even in complex networks with lots of interconnections. To wrap up the demo of new things in Viz, I want to highlight a couple of changes to the legacy visualizations. First, I'll show you about filter animation. To do this, I'll make a topic view of the inbox emails and set up a color encoding for the time each email was sent. Now I'll set up a temporal filter and animation. I'll make a window of 1 month and animate using a 1-week interval. Even though the filter and the color encoding are set up using the same temporal property, you can see how much easier it is to figure out how the topics of the email shifted over time, as well as clearly see a period of time when there are no emails in the inbox. This possibly indicates that they have been moved or deleted. Now I want to show you how to export the view for printing with the new white background export option. To do this, we click on the Export button just as before, but select Use White Background. This will create an image more suitable for printing since the black background has been removed and all the white text has been changed to black. Before we finish up this demo, I want to show one new feature we added to SDE called the Data Inspector. I've loaded a simple SDE processor that extracts some text files from a zip archive, converts them to XML, and saves them back to a zip file in a directory. In the middle of this processor, though, I've added a Data Inspector module. This module is incredibly helpful when developing and debugging processors since it allows immediate inspection of data passing through the processor. The first converted document has caused the Data Inspector to open up, displaying its contents. I can open this as an XML or text file. Allow the file to continue, or discard the file and process the next one, along with a couple of other options. Now when putting together a new processor, you can use a data inspector and the trash can output module to examine the work being done without having to output the results to a directory and look for a file there. This concludes the new features demo for Starlight 414. For existing customers, please let us know if you have any questions by sending an email to support@futurepointsystems.com. If you are not yet a customer, please visit our website at www.futurepointsystems.com or send us an email to sales@futurepointsystems.com. Thank you for watching.